Sitting here live in the lab after a Washington Capitals victory over the Philadelphia Flyers 5-4. We got Robbie G in the man cave getting things set up on his end. And CP3 live from the lab. Robbie, you good to go on your end, man?
Yep, I'm gonna start in. Oh, hold on. Hold on.
This is the fourth straight victory for the Capitals. They're still in second place. Unfortunately, the New York Islanders came back and defeated the New Jersey Devils earlier tonight. Still have a 2-point lead over the Capitals.
I'm gonna try to restart my live stream. For some reason, it didn't like it.
Hey, totally understand. Also, I saw that the Rangers shut out the Boston Bruins earlier today. That was very interesting. Saw the battle that the Capitals in Boston had the week before, and to see the Rangers, who unfortunately beat the Capitals twice this year, put it on Boston today and shut them out. And if you didn't check out the Instagram of, well, if you don't follow Hendrik Lundqvist, you didn't check out his Instagram post after having open heart surgery. He's actually back on the ice and doing conditioning and actually playing goalie. They show if you go to his page, you'll see him have folks coming out and shooting the puck, and he looks like he's ready to come back and play. It's crazy, and it's going to be very interesting when he gets healthy.
All right, Carol, give me a pause just for 1 second so I can start it.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everybody. It's Robbie reporting live for Sports on the Hill podcast. I'm joined by a special guest here, Carol, my co-host of Sports on the Hill podcast, of course. And we've got a lot to break down. I'm going to break down some of the scoring real quick, and then we will get into some more of the news and notes and a little bit of a preview of what we'll talk about on Monday. So let me just pop that up real fast. I'm not going to show the stats because we've got Carol live on the screen, so I don't want to cover him up. But basically, Sprong started the scoring at 4:40 in the first. I was actually upstairs celebrating my wife's birthday, so happy birthday, Liz! Happy 35th birthday! And so I usually put on white for road games, but we were eating barbecue, so I didn't want to get it on my nice road jersey, so I stuck with the red. But then we scored a goal, and then we scored a second goal with Carl Hagelin, and I was like, well, I can't change now. So I stuck with the red, the old Holtby that I had, hoping that maybe it would spur on finally getting a shutout for our goalie. But spoiler alert, that didn't happen. Unfortunately, James Van Riemsdyk scored one, but then Nick Jensen answered right back. So both in the first 3 minutes of the second period made it 3-1. And then unfortunately, Philly got one more back, made it 3-2. But then Alexander Ovechkin on the power play, his 10th of the season, assisted by Nicholas Backstrom, his 20th. John Carlson's 17th assist of the season, made it 4-2. Nick Dowd was able to get one more in the third to make it 5-2 on a nice goal. But unfortunately, Philly then started to storm back. Got two goals, one with 13 minutes in and one with 17 minutes in with the goalie pulled. And then there was just this frantic ending where I was so nervous that they would tie this game up. Carol and I have this chat back and forth, and we were both like, "Oh my God!" It's our hearts were in our throats a little bit at some points in that third period. So I'll bring Carol in with that. Carol, what were some of your thoughts on this game?
Excuse me. Well, unfortunately, I guess, it was a 2-2 second period, so I can't say unfortunately I missed the second period. But I saw the first period, I saw the third period. For some reason, this team is still having issues playing 60 minutes for, on a consistent basis. I can say from the first period, the defense, they just outplayed Philly the whole period. Like Philly was still, in the locker room. They were just out there in spirit or whatever. But that was some great hockey, and I was leaving work. I was watching it on my computer. And I left work feeling pretty good. And then you messaged me, how did I feel about the game? I was on my way home, and then I just glanced at the score, and I was like, oh, 3-2. Like, man, Philly got two. So I didn't check out the second period. But the third period, as you mentioned, And if you hear that noise in the background, it's my dog. I don't know. Whenever I go live, he decides he wants to chew his bone. I don't know. It's like he just knows. But the third period started out, pretty good for the Caps. But as Robbie mentioned, when they pulled the goalie, things started to get a little interesting. And if you were watching live, and you heard Joe B and Locker talk about, Claude Giroux as, we haven't really mentioned his name, and then he scored after. I know we all looked at the TV like, why did they just say that? And then he ended up scoring as soon as they pulled the goal and made this game a lot more interesting. But as Alan May said on the post game, they're finding ways to win. They have to, fix the issues in the third. He felt like there wasn't the same puck pursuit and the same hustle that he saw in the first two periods, and in the third, for some reason, they have to fix that. But the end result is they're finding ways to win games and continue to stay in the fight for number one, and excuse me, putting together some good hockey.
Yeah, so it's I agree. It's tough because there's a debate on many of the Caps forums about our goaltenders. Will we be able to? There was all this talk that there's a chance that Henrik Lundqvist could come back this season. Maybe it's tough just to fit him within the salary cap. We'd have to make some moves to sort of fit him in, unless they did it in the playoffs. One thing I was talking to some people today, and they said salary cap doesn't matter in the playoffs. So maybe he's like an emergency person that they bring in, but do you trust that without having him play a lot of games or any games in the regular season? I don't know. So Samsonov is interesting. There are times where he's super elite, makes acrobatic saves, and you're like, man, this is why he's your franchise goaltender. And then there's some saves or some that he lets in that should have been saves. With his so it's hard to know when pressure comes in the playoffs, which Sam you're going to get, right? And Double V's been playing great too. And so that leads me to the next question and sort of mini debate that I want to have before we go tonight is what do you do for the next game? So Sam's been on fire. He's won you the last two. He won 3 in Philadelphia this week, which is amazing. But Double V been playing good this year. You don't want to have him out too long. You don't want to have him, be worried about his job and, all that sort of stuff. And so for Buffalo, do you see what Sam can do 3 games in a row, which he's never done in his career? He's only ever started 2 in a row. He's played in 3 in a row, but 1 was a relief effort. So do we see what he can do at this point in the season with 3 in a row and ride him? Or do we go back to Double V so he doesn't get cold on the other side? So it's a tough decision. Carol, what do you think?
That's an interesting one. Double V has been playing great. He's helped. He's mainly the reason why they're in second place. Well, he's aided in being in second place. He still hasn't got that elusive shutout. We've seen, some crazy things happen with the Capitals giving up goals. But Samsonov, this game, I didn't see the 2 goals early that he gave up. I was listening to Locker. He was saying that he felt like those were 2 that, should have been stopped. And unfortunately, you still get that with him. But
he's still 5-0-1, right? So people are complaining and he's not the elite goaltender, but until you lose in regulation, you can't say he's not.
Like you said, as long as he's winning, he's finding ways to win. He's making the time he saves. He gives up a leaky goal every now and again. But, if you remember back to Hopi in the early starts of his career, we had some of the same, issues, and we were all wondering, is this guy, can he be the guy? And you have to have patience, like you definitely, because
I think Sam and Double V look better than Hopi did at this point in Hopi's career. Right, so not saying that they're going to get the cup or be elite or do all of that, but at the same time, you can't say that they're not. I think goalies develop over some time. It's not.
Both of them are pretty young, and they're doing a solid job in net, and there's always room to improve. And that's what playing games does. You get more experience, you get better, you start seeing different wrinkles, different things going on by the opposition. And different things happen on your squad. Defense might break down, and you have to, get in those situations, and that's what makes you elite. Because when you're in those situations and you're able to make that timely save, deflection, poke check, whatever it may be, that's what helps build you into being that elite goaltender. So, they have to play in order to become elite, and you can't just because they might not shut out everybody and their goals, game averages, and where you think it should be. But I mean, they're playing good hockey, so you can't really. I mean, you can be negative because I know Robbie. You say they're kind of like the Washington football team fans that they get a little rabid when things don't look as crisp as it should. But I say
Tough,
since it's
not an easy
Buffalo,
one.
I say go ahead and let Samson off, go three in a row, and hopefully that doesn't mess with Double V. But
I mean, Double B's already gotten more games than he was supposed to by this point in the season, right? And Samsonov hasn't gotten enough. If he's going to be your workhorse and your one. So I can understand giving him a workhorse bunch of games in a row because they rode Double V for so long. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
I
it's
think
true.
you could go. I think you could go Sam for the next one, but. Obviously, if they win, then it was the right call. If they lose, it's the wrong one. Either way, so it's a tough
Of
decision.
course, damned if you do,
Uh,
damned if you don't.
and the same thing with bringing in Henrik Lundqvist. Of course, it'd be a great story, and if they won it all with the King, what an amazing to have surgery and stuff like that. But they put him in, and then they somehow screwed up chemistry, and they lost. People would question it.
Oh,
So
definitely, definitely.
it's tough to see which way it goes. But I don't want to take too much time. I know that we'll be breaking this game a lot more down, on Monday. But I did want to just talk about it a little bit on Monday. I also want to mention it's going to be a special show, or it's our 5th-year anniversary special. It's crazy. We started, I believe it was on a Saturday, and I think it was the 16th of March, way back when, if I want to remember correctly. So this is our closest show to that, since that would fall just a couple of days later. But I'm looking forward to that. So we have that show on Monday. There's going to be a live Caps game and a live Wizards game. As you can see, the two teams behind me. The Wizards will have the rematch. They played a great game tonight. I just want to give them a quick shout out. They played without Bradley Beal and without Bertans. And Russell Westbrook dropped 42 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds, and Ruiz scores a season high 29 points. And then they faltered. They lose just by a little bit, but I thought they played the Bucks really well, and it'll be interesting to see. They play that same team again on Monday at 7. So our Capitals coverage will pick up right in the third period against that Buffalo game, and we'll recap this so far undefeated week. Hopefully, we'll continue through that show. I thought they've been playing really great as of late. The Capitals they've now won all 4 games without Tom Wilson. I'll give myself a little shout out. I do posts in the Capital Sinbin group, and I have been the person deemed the thread poster until they lose. Like we let people run until they lose, and then we swap it up. And I started the ones right after Tom Wilson got suspended. I was like, I don't really want to do this. I've been not so good luck the last couple of months, but I'll throw one up. We'll see how we do. And I've won all 4 of my threads so far, so I will throw one up before our show on Monday. Hopefully we'll continue that. And we've been playing really well. I saw that Lars Eller did play in this game. He had very limited minutes in it. I hope him and his family situation is okay. We don't really know why
Well,
he's been missing
they
time.
said it was a lower body injury, is what they listed it as.
Interesting, because
Yeah,
there's been talk that it was a family issue. There's been talk that maybe an injury. They've not been very committal on what it. I've heard a lot of things. I'll just put it out that
yeah.
way.
During the game, they listed it. 'Cause I had just tuned in right after. I guess he went out, and they said he would not be returning due to a lower body injury.
Oh, but he wouldn't return in this game because of
Yeah,
lower body injury.
yeah,
But he was out because of a family situation
yeah.
the
The game
last couple
before,
of
yeah,
games.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. All
So
right.
this,
So
yeah,
those are
this
two
game was
different.
an injury. They say.
Got it. I missed that. So I tuned it in after that. I was tuning in, and then I had to tune out. I had to go pick up my mother-in-law from the airport. But anyway, but I'm happy that they're playing well. We'll pick up that Buffalo game in the third period. We'll recap these great Philadelphia 2 wins, as well as the New Jersey win from earlier in the week. And then even though they're kind of giving us this cardiac feeling again of the cardiac caps, but we'll recap all 3 of those more in detail, as well as recap how that Buffalo game has been going and talk about how they're doing and preview the upcoming week. And we'll also talk in the Wizards segment. They've had a rough week, a couple of close games, a couple of not so close games, but hopefully they'll be playing well and it'll be a post game show probably, unless it goes to overtime, for that for the rematch against the Milwaukee Bucks. So a lot to talk about on Monday. We'll have Carol, me, Anna, the roundtable, all break it down more. We'll celebrate 5 years as well. And then the following week, we'll have our season 5 finale, and then we'll have a week off, and then we'll start season 6 with some baseball talk just right around the corner in April, which is crazy. So a lot more
Can't
to
wait
come.
for some baseball, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. So a lot more to talk about, and I look forward to talking with Carol and the team and everybody on Monday. And hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yo.